Welcome back to another edition of the Varies and Numerous podcast. Let's go. Episode number 42 with Ocean Protocol's Alex Napheys. He's the lead of OceanDAO. We're going to get into a lot of stuff about OceanDAO, DAOs in this interview. But first, a special thanks to our sponsors of the Varies and Numerous podcast. As always, we appreciate the people that support this show. Firstly, Cheesecake Swap. Cheesecake Swap is an AMM and yield farm aggregator. Go over there, check them out. As always, nothing is financial advice here, but check out their yield farm. Check out their AMM, what they're doing over there. Very efficient in times, especially when Ethereum blockchain is throughput is, the congestion, transaction throughput is, not so hot. So check them out if you're a fan of BSC and you like the Binance Smart Chain Network and what they're doing over there and the projects launching and stuff. Go check them out. Second sponsor of the show today is Flashcoin. Flashcoin is a reinvention of Litecoin built to scale. Check them out. They have some really cool stuff going on with their map they have where merchants can use GPS to determine where merchants are in the world and use Flash to pay. It's really innovative way to promote commerce with cryptocurrency and Flashcoin. They also have their own built-in exchange on the app for peer-to-peer trading of the assets they support. So check them out. It's flashcoin.io and cheesecakeswap.com. Now let's get into this episode with Alex Napheys of Ocean Protocol. Welcome back to the Varies and Numerous podcast, episode number 42, with today's guest of Ocean Protocol, Alex Napheys of OceanDAO. He's the lead there with OceanDAO. Thanks for coming on the show today, sir.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. Excited to share more about Ocean and OceanDAO today.
Yeah, I've looked into the Ocean project a little bit, but I'll be honest, I'm not completely super well versed in it. So I know it's a huge project. You guys have almost a $200 million market cap right now, even with the downtrend over the last couple months over the market. So just for posterity, the price right now is at 45 cents, and this isn't paid marketing in any way or anything like that. We're just on here to have a conversation about the technology and what Alex is up to with Ocean. So let's get straight into it. I always like to talk about, where people, started their life and how they got started, in tech or whatever. So where did you grow up?
Yeah, so born and raised in Denver, Colorado. Went to school at University of Colorado Boulder, where I studied finance and entrepreneurship. And being in that Boulder startup scene was really impactful early on, being able to see all these cool tech startups come out of that area.
Were there any in particular that you could note that made you think, wow, maybe I could get into tech someday? Or
yeah, especially some of the Techstars crew. So that was similar to Y Combinator. It was just a local tech incubator that's subsequently boomed across the country, and I think they have locations rather in other countries as well now. But yeah, other than entrepreneurship, I've always been a techie growing up, whether I was modding an Xbox early on, building computers, Legos. One of my first jobs in high school was actually as a computer technician at the Denver Museum.
Oh, that's super cool. Very interesting story. Yeah, I like that. Okay. So when did you come into the blockchain realm? When did you find Bitcoin or Ethereum, or what was it that drew you into the space initially?
Yeah, actually, I was on a rabbit hole one day in Q4 of 2015. Tons of tabs open and came across the Ethereum YouTube page. And it was almost like a Mission Impossible or James Bond, like, do you accept this mission, so to speak, video. Is this, British accent, just talking about how the future of, the internet will be Ethereum. And so the next day, I was just in undergrad still, so I didn't have a whole lot of cash, but yeah, took out cash, put it in a Bitcoin ATM in North Denver, held Bitcoin less than a day, and swapped it to Ethereum and printed out a QR code private key that just kind of sat in my desk for a couple years. That was the initial onboarding to crypto. And then in 2017 happened. I thought it was just so cool that here you could effectively be an investment banker underwriting something going public, all from the luxury of your pajamas in your bedroom. So got really into the ICOs. Ended up moving out to San Francisco, and meeting all the people who are and the technologists who are actually building these protocols. Ended up co-organizing the SF Ethereum developers meetup, and from there kind of got into more of the understanding the crypto economic incentive models, whether that's to lend, to stake, to collateralize, and then from there got into the DAOs.
Wow. So you found Ethereum basically right after it launched, because I think it launched in 2014, right?
Yeah. So that was it was a lucky rabbit hole, so to speak. But I guess the insight there for I've reflected on this. Just anytime there's seemingly smart people doing something that a lot of people are disagreeing with, it's probably a good signal to lean in and double click to, hey, what's actually going on here?
Yeah, I had a sort of a similar, when I found Bitcoin, it was like that back in the day. That's a really good piece of advice too. Contrarians are often the people you want to probably mimic in some regard. I would have to say that's I agree with you a lot on that. So when did you went out to San Francisco? How long before you got hooked up with Ocean, and like just a little backstory on that, a little more if you can.
Absolutely, yeah. So was out in SF from 2017 to 2019. Ended up joining forces with a staking as a service startup. We were in operation a little less than a year. Learned a ton about staking. It's going to be a highly commoditized business, but there's going to be some winners in that sector. From there, was looking for the next thing I was going to be interested in. So did a deep dive on DAOs, and I was lucky enough to join up with one of these earlier DAOs called Cartel Ventures. So Cartel Ventures is a DAO, is a decentralized VC fund, so to speak. So everyone kind of throws in ETH in a wallet, and then each of the members who have done so are effectively LPs looking for deal flow, and then you vote on which projects will get investments. So in that Cartel Venture DAO, the two founders of Ocean are also members. So Bruce and Trent, and through that DAO, we collaborated and shared a lot of excitement for the future of DAOs, and they were looking for a DAO lead for Ocean. So there was a natural fit. So I joined Ocean in November 2020.
Super cool. So for the people that aren't super well versed in DAOs, what could you give us just a basic generic overview of what they are and how they work?
Absolutely. Yeah. So there's kind of the theory and then the tech. So on the first side of the coin, I've really resonated with this quote from Naval Ravikant. Actually, he goes, individuals search for truth and groups search for consensus. And I was so enamored by that, and just really taking the time to understand that. I was like, why is it so difficult for groups to be truthful in that context? And, what would need to exist to, turn towards a collective for a source of truth? And that's where DAOs really came to light. So in a very simplistic example of this, it's how can we turn to Bitcoin and know it's truthful? Well, it's because everyone is operating off the same set of code, right? So each miner is running the same algorithm. Each person is already on the same page when they sign up. So that if it gets attacked, its fragility will always will stay intact. So this is the same sort of thing for a DAO, where each kind of member showing up to that respective DAO is playing by that same framework or rule book or consensus mechanism, arbitrary, more anthropologic consensus mechanism, so to speak. And this allows this flat, decentralized, autonomous organization then to arrive at truth when you have all these people all over the world. So DAOs and the tech that underpins the DAO themselves, it represents a paradigm shift to the governance of any organization. Rules are encoded as a transparent computer program controlled by the organizational members and not influenced by any central authority. So as the rules that are embedded into the code, there's no managers are needed, thus trying to remove as much bureaucracy or hierarchy hurdles as possible. So this democratizing capacity is one of the many things that attracted me to get involved with OceanDAO to begin with, just seeing how centralized hierarchy can cause a lot of coordination failure.
Okay, good, really good explanation. So let's go to really what Ocean's trying to achieve overall, and then tie it all together later on. So can you tell us like what Ocean Protocol is doing exactly? Like I know people can explain like it's like so I've heard people explain it like it's like the substrate layer or whatever of where data is going to sit and people are going to go get it. Is this? Can you get into like? Can you tell us just basically the overall idea of Ocean and then how OceanDAO works within the larger scheme of things?
Super. So Ocean's protocol mission is to kickstart a Web3 data economy that reaches a world, giving power back to data owners and enabling people to capture value from data. It allows people to buy and share data securely while preserving privacy. We want Ocean to become the connective tissue, so to speak, for a new data economy. So currently, data doesn't work that way. In this future Ocean protocol world, we see a world where data, including customer data, is an asset class that is fairly priced and where people can share their data safely and receive compensation. So Ocean protocol unlocks the value of this data between data owners and consumers, and they can use the Ocean Marketplace app to publish, discover, and consume data assets in a secure, privacy-preserving fashion. Ocean is this interaction layer between AI researchers and data owners. To double-click on the actual implementation of Ocean protocol, there are a handful of components within that. So Ocean is about data sharing and bringing buyers and customers together. So Ocean Marketplace launched as part of our V3 last fall, which brings all the data and AI sharing capabilities in a much lighter architecture that makes it easier for people to publish their data and then sell it. So that bridges four buckets. So there's number one, the Ocean Market is this application built on top of Ocean smart contracts. This is the user interface layer that exposes all the Ocean technology. Buying and selling data is really a liquid. You have these siloed third-party data providers with incredibly complex setups. So whether that's legal, compliance, GDPR, back office, distribution channels, and then they have to provide that valuable data. So with the Ocean Market, this gives people the ability to publish data sets, generate data tokens, consume data within a few hours. Someone could have bought and used this data. So that's number one. And currently this Ocean Market has hundreds of data sets worth more than 5 million euros in total value locked. Number two, data tokens. So data tokens are ERC20 tokens generated for each data set. generated for each published data set. And they're at the core of, they are the core of this Ocean marketplace. Since they're ERC20 tokens, they're highly compatible with all the DeFi primitives you could think about. So they can be staked, injected into automated market makers, and used as collateral for lending. Number 3 is an initial data offering, or IDO. So this is effectively, hey, I'm going to sell a data set on the Ocean marketplace, and I'm going to launch this initial data offering. So you get a data tokens once you do an IDO. So imagine exactly an IPO for a data set where tokens are issued representing the value of that data set and all future cash flows. People can then buy a piece of that data set in anticipation of its future sales. And then finally, to sum it all up, what Ocean Protocol is, number 4, compute to data. So compute to data resolves the trade-offs between the benefits of using private data and the risks of exposing it. So this is where data can stay on premise. You allow third parties to run their algorithm or just get the results of a compute job and get it sent out. So as opposed to just buying the data and having total access of it, you can actually just get the results via compute to data. So a handful of things and the theory behind it, but yeah, hopefully that gives the listeners a little clearer picture of each one of the components in the Ocean Protocol stack.
Yeah, very nice overview. Thank you for explaining that. So, like with Ocean, is there what could you say a little bit more maybe about, like, people today aren't really that knowledgeable. I wouldn't say like the average person on Facebook is really that worried about just giving up their data, but why do you think that if you could touch on this real quick, why do you think that I tend to agree with you that Web 3.0, we're going to see like people like us that are interested in blockchain technology, and we're sort of like the trailblazers, not us in particular, but this entire space. We understand the value of data. A lot of people don't, but I think they're going to follow the people, the early adopters in things like this, Ocean Protocol as well. Where do you think like Web 3.0, what does that look like with data? Is the average person going to have more of a stake overall, or will it be like just sort of 10% of the population maybe like gets into something where they start grouping their data in these sets and stuff like that? Do you have any sort of like inkling about how that'll play out, or how do you see that in the future? Do you think everybody will want to take more control of their data, or what do you think about that?
Absolutely. So I think there's two things here. So the first thing is around the trend towards stakeholder ownership, and then the second thing is the kind of transition to the Web 2 to a Web 3 world. So on the first point, the trend towards stakeholder ownership, in the traditional two-sided marketplace sense of the world, or lens of the world, hey, you have an Uber or you have an Airbnb, someone who is renting the house and someone who's buying the house, or someone who's renting has the house to rent and someone who's the rentee, they'll come together and create the interaction, create the sale, and then all that value created goes to the equity holders of Airbnb or the early investors, the people who actually created that value. Yes, they might get some. They get some money for that transaction, but they don't get any of that ownership, and they're the actual ones creating the value in that network. So in crypto land and blockchain land, those people who are actually the stakeholders, not just the shareholders, will start to get some value accrual back to them. So in the data lens, hey, you come and interact on an Ocean Marketplace, you have this, the value created doesn't just go back to, these quote unquote equity holders. You actually are a stakeholder in the network, so it's closer to you. It's a more visceral relationship with data than in these incumbent hegemonic big tech companies. And then for the second point, this transition from Web 2 to Web 3, Web 2 gave birth to the data economy, but its processes are opaque, power is concentrated, data is siloed. So it's dominated by companies that provide services in exchange for your personal data. They're the central authorities of the network, and they exercise full control. The main problems we face with data in both businesses and as well as the users and consumers, you don't feel comfortable sharing your data. You don't know the true value of that data or how to price it in a market. And with Ocean, you can do that. So Web3 is really where you're able to reclaim ownership of our data, of data sovereignty. You have the power to control your data, share that data how you want, and monetize it under your own terms. And blockchains are the perfect mechanism to unlock those data silos, and the Ocean implementation of that, because you give access to that data if the right amounts are paid. People are buying and selling the data, so the transaction and the conditions on the terms on which are fulfilled. And this is all without any intermediary, directly peer-to-peer.
Yeah, we're living in some revolutionary times. I think that the things that are being built right now are probably going to carve out, like, the next, at least, a couple centuries and maybe onward. It's pretty amazing. We're just at the cusp of this new world, in my opinion. It's awesome that these things are being built. So congrats to you on what you're working on with that. It's just awesome to me that these things even exist already. Bitcoin's only 12 years old, and what we're seeing built is just amazing. So could you talk a little bit about how you separate data qualitatively? Like what sort of different sets or subsets or whatever those things look like?
So yes. So on the data marketplace itself, someone who's selling data, this is just an item in the marketplace. So you can come publish that data set. So that data set is mutually exclusive than someone else's data set that they were to publish. So it's just like a listing, just like you'd see on any marketplace. But yeah, these listings are for data. And then we have different types of ways to sell that data, right? So if you're publishing a data set on the Ocean Marketplace, since they are ERC20s, the publisher mints the data tokens, and you can define who has access control to that data set. So this can be first and foremost, number one, who can access it. Second is for under what conditions, for how long. Is this on a subscription basis, or is it a permanent purchase? Is this a fixed price data set, or is it dynamically set using automated using an AMM? So this all happens automatically once you publish that data set, and you defined the terms which you're publishing said data set under. You can think of these data sets and their corresponding data tokens as being like Lego blocks that can leverage the composability and tools of the existing DeFi crypto ecosystem. So in other words, like a ERC20 crypto wallet, since these data tokens are ERC20, they become data wallets. Crypto exchanges become data marketplaces, and all of this is all integrated under the hood of the Ocean Marketplace.
Okay, so what about the access? You touched on it a little bit there, but isn't all of the data recorded on chain, or am I wrong about that? So how do you actually like keep that private? How do you gate that access? I don't know if you answered that in that last one, or can you talk about a
Great
little bit about?
question.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you're coming to the supply, so you're on the supply side of the marketplace, you're coming to publish a data set. So you'll actually go and have your data on, locally, or so, hey, you can access it via this URL. So whether you're hosting it on S3, on Amazon S3, or on Arweave, or on Filecoin, you'll link via URL on your listing where that lives, and then you'll give those parameters, as mentioned in the previous question, just like how long and how much price. But once you publish it, that URL becomes encrypted, and you can only access that, decrypt that if you have the that data set's data token. And so none of the data is actually living on chain, because as we know, like data storage on chain is just exorbitantly expensive.
Right.
And so it's really just the encryption, the access control mechanism is what's on chain, and then what you're getting is the decryption.
And this is where the Chainlink crowd goes crazy, right? Where you guys are using them to ensure this stuff. Am I right or no?
I know we have had a announcement with Chainlink a handful of months ago, and I can't currently speak to the current implementation.
Okay.
So.
I wasn't 100% certain, so I wanted to ask you. Okay. All right. We didn't talk about that before we get on here, but I wanted to ask. So can you talk a little bit about any of the companies or anything like that are using Ocean, and tell us more about like your overall mission with the DAO, OceanDAO?
Totally. Yep. So I'll for the partners and folks and companies interested in using Ocean. So this is one of our keys to achieving scale and kind of scorching the earth with Ocean. So one of our largest partners is Dalamer. I always get the pronunciation confused, but Dalamer, who ran a proof of concept project to test blockchain capacities for data exchange between different internal business units, as well as the key service partners. We just partnered with Singularity DAO, an AI-driven DeFi investment company that uses data from Ocean Market to improve its financial modeling. We've recently partnered with Raven Protocol, a decentralized AI protocol. And then one that's really exciting to us is Ocean is a day one member of Gaia X, which is building the European cloud infrastructure. And they're like, how do they maintain GDPR compliance while prioritizing efficiency and security? And these are all initiatives, these partners, whether they're startups or academia or government, they or other blockchain protocols, just give us a unique opportunity to set the direction of the future of the data economy. And then, yes, for the second question.
Let me interrupt you real quick. Can I interrupt you? I'm sorry.
Yep.
Before we get to more on OceanDAO, what sort of data sets or would you mentioned academia? Like, what sort of things would they be interested in if you had to like say like off the cuff? Have you looked into that at all, or like what sort of use cases are there for academia right now?
This is a fascinating aspect of Ocean Protocol, right? So in academics and especially researchers, a lot of that, you're in a lab and you're discovering all these interesting data points. Let's use neuroimaging for example, and that's actually one that's close to home inside of the OceanDAO. We have a project working on that. This data becomes siloed and other labs can't access it. And if you're doing an experiment, if it's a failed experiment, you kind of just move on from it internally. You don't share, even if it's failed, with other labs. So there is this just so apparent siloed nature in academia. So if you're able to, unlock that data for other academic researchers in that same field, that has tremendous, you can create tremendous leverage and push, whatever you're studying a lot further forward.
Yeah, huge utility there. Sorry to interrupt you. I wanted to ask you that though.
It's a great question. Yeah.
All right, let's get back to OceanDAO now. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yep, super. So, OceanDAO is it's and I'll give it context. So, for those unfamiliar with DAOs and their implementation, so there's some things called like permissioned DAOs. So ones that you need to be accepted into, or they're private. And then there's protocol DAOs, ones that are publicly accessible just by nature of holding that protocol's ERC20 token. So Ocean Protocol is a public protocol DAO, and you get access to our the governance just by nature of holding the token. And this is the same for most mainstream protocol DAOs, whether that's Aave or Synthetics or Sushi. All this stuff is you vote with your tokens. So OceanDAO is a grants DAO, and we're focused on funding projects that can create a positive ROI for the ocean ecosystem. So ocean holders can decide by voting which project proposals can receive funding. And the reason we do this is why it's a grants DAO. It's, hey, Project X submits a grant proposal, and if they can show that they can create value greater than the grant amount they received, then that can that additional value creation can fund more grants in the future. So it's kind of like this self-sustainability loop of funding positive ROI projects. So these projects takes the form of building apps or integrations, unleashing data, community or developer outreach, improvements to the DAO itself, or improvements to Ocean core software. So these proposals come in just through our web app, and then you vote with your Ocean tokens in a decentralized manner. So thus far, OceanDAO has distributed just over 400,000 Ocean in across 49 grants. All by vote. So our long-term goals include improved voting and funding mechanisms, and incentivizing engagement, and just really improving the top of the OceanDAO funnel, so more and more people who are excited and curious to build on Ocean Protocol can get that sort of like bootstrapping funding they so need to start shipping. So how OceanDAO operates is there's funding rounds monthly. So the first currently it's the first Tuesday of every month. These proposals are due. So this current round, OceanDAO round 7, has 400,000 Ocean up for grantees. So if you're a data scientist or an AI researcher or a developer with a project idea, you can get funding. And all of this information is available at oceanprotocol.com/DAO.
Super cool. I think this is the future. Can you tell us a little bit more about like how when you go to vote, say I am holding Ocean, the token, the ERC20, and I want to I want to vote on these grants. Where do I go to show that I have this stake to participate in governance?
Absolutely, yes. So you're going to want to go ahead and have your ERC20 Ocean token in your non-custodial wallet. So whether that's MetaMask or My Wallet Connect, and you go to vote.oceanprotocol.com, and you'll be able to see once these monthly proposal rounds open, you'll be able to see all the projects that are propositioning for a grant. And we've actually made some sleek dashboards, so you can see everybody all in one that has submitted a proposal for one round. You can go and see due diligence, which one you're most excited about. So it's one token, one vote. And, we're experimenting with all different types of governance models or voting models. But for now, one token, one vote. And you get to select which project you think can have the best value creation for the future of Ocean.
Man, what a cool idea. I love the idea of DAOs. Can you tell us okay, so it's connected. I mean, this is an Ethereum, it's Ethereum based being an ERC20, but is it technically blockchain agnostic? Can you guys work with other protocols? I mean, is this something that's being worked on, or is it already interoperable, or what's going on? How does that work?
So the Ocean smart contracts are EVM compatible, so Ethereum virtual machine compatible, and they can sit on any chain that can run that. So we consider 2021 is the year of scaling for Ocean. So this is where we shift from achieving product market fit to traction. So this year's roadmap is exactly that. So multi-chain deployment, because we envision a multi-chain future, because that's just where users will be. So one of the core concerns was the rising gas costs. Mm-hmm. So we've done a Polygon integration. They can now avoid these high gas fees on Ethereum. Transactions are faster and cost pennies, and we've seen a lot of growth on Polygon. But so Ethereum, Polygon, and we've announced an integration with Kusama and Polkadot via our partner Moonbeam. And this project is ongoing and dependent on the technical upgrades from the core Polkadot team. But once Ocean is on Polkadot, it will open up a lot of possibilities to work with other projects in those ecosystems. So excited about the future and kind of this interoperable data economy on multiple chains.
Yeah, I don't understand why anybody would want to limit their network to one network. You know what I mean? It doesn't make much sense to me. I agree with you. I think the future is interoperability, and it's just obvious. And I don't know if the people that are maximalists have just not done the work, or they don't understand it. I'm not really sure, but that's another day. What would you say is the most interesting thing that you've learned since you started working on the DAO in particular?
Yes, so it's really marvelous what can happen in a grassroots, organic, internet first community. So it's really just been taken back by the amount of contribution from the community. As mentioned, so far we've had 49 grants funded to date. We started this in right around November of last year with having nothing. We didn't have a DAO, and just the excitement that people are showing around participating in a new organizational structure. So, yes, Ocean, they're excited about Ocean, and two, hey, what's this new DAO thing? And how can we get involved? And people are answering questions on Discord. What really gets me excited is when an OceanDAO project is collaborating with another OceanDAO project. And one of the lines I like to say, while we do have a core OceanDAO team, I and we are bad DAO leaders if we are the DAO leaders. The purpose of incepting and coordinating this thing is to remove oneself and really distribute the ownership and governance and choices to the community.
Yeah, I think we're at a point in time where a lot of people want their voices heard, and this is a way to actually participate in something and become something. Like crypto has always been like an outlet for me, to try to just, make the world a better place, or, my little contribution or whatever. Just it represents so much about like freedom and free markets and just cooperation, voluntary exchange, the essence of capitalism. The whole thing to me is just what we, what the blockchain space should be. And this is just like the next level. We're taking it to the next level with DAOs and things like that. So it's so cool to see these things evolve over time. I'm really enjoying watching it. Just a couple more questions for you. Can you take us through a little bit more of the 2021 roadmap, and then like looking out further, like what are your aims? What would you say, like if you had to like look at 2025 or 2030 and you're like, this is what I'd love to see from OceanDAO and Ocean Protocol?
Totally. So this is the year of scaling. So as mentioned, getting lots of traction for Ocean Protocol, getting people onboarded, using the data marketplace, is key. And one of our next big milestones will be the launch of Ocean V4, which will support the NFTization, so to speak, of the base IP. So when you create on the supply side, when you create that data set for sale, like that will be be able to turn into an NFT and thus create multiple revenue streams. We're also building enhanced permissioning, refining that compute to data feature we were speaking on earlier, furthering the multi-chain support, enabling data farming, which is something in the future that could be just like as all these DeFi yield farming programs are coming up, thinking about data farming. And specifically for OceanDAO, we're working on bringing more and more transparency and scale to the community funding process. For example, we've started earmarking a certain amount for each month's grants towards new projects that haven't applied before. Because we're seeing people can return to grants, return for funding for the DAO, but how do we encourage new projects? And we have a really lively, as mentioned, community and feedback. So if you are curious to learn more about the OceanDAO, we have weekly town halls at 3 p.m. GMT on Wednesdays every week. And you can hear and join more about the OceanDAO town hall on the Ocean Protocol website /DAO.
I got to go sit in on one of those. I think that would be pretty interesting to listen to. Just the last question for you here. I really appreciate your time today, Alex. If you could I always ask everybody the first time I talk to them on the podcast, like what Bitcoin means to them, but yours is obviously you have your own project. So I always ask it like a double barrel question, like what Ocean means to you, what OceanDAO means to you, and what Bitcoin means to you. So it's a longer one for you than the average person.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ocean, in one sentence to me, is definitely the future of a new data economy. Just getting out of these data silos and unlocking data can create an exorbitant amount of value. Just like how last century was maybe defined by, oil being the, crux of the economy, data, will be the crux of, the future economy. And OceanDAO, it's just so interesting and exciting to see how the DAO space is just evolving, seemingly week over week, whether that's tooling or governance, and just all the people that are just so excited to experiment and try this new organizational structure. So in one sentence, welcoming the new this new wave of human coordination will be super empowering. And then for Bitcoin, proof of work was just such a, I still have the lightning strike moments in the shower, just like thinking about how ingenious Bitcoin is. So, whether Bitcoin will remain, numero uno for, an indefinite, or, some other things happen. I'm just, always, I really do see, Bitcoin's value just as being a scarce, hard money asset. And that's can be so empowering in that self-custodial, and if you're able to do so, have that in self-custody is just so empowering. So
I like the way you mentioned proof of work, because from a non-technologist or somebody that isn't super techie and doesn't look at this stuff every day, you might look at Bitcoin and say, oh wow, it's email, it's money, like email money or whatever. But it's so the intricacies are so like it's just next level how brilliant it was. It's hard to fathom that it was over 12 years ago. But the evolution, I agree with you, and I'm not a maximalist in any regard. Obviously, I'm talking to you today, and I'm interested in all these other projects. But just the evolution, and I think that at some point we could see something like Ethereum maybe flip it, or whatever the smart, wherever the future economy is built on Web3, the majority of the smart contracts and stuff, that'll probably be like number one maybe, and then Bitcoin's number 2 or 3. Well, it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out, or if everybody, all the corporations and stuff end up running into Bitcoin here, and it distances itself from like the next one, Ethereum. But Ethereum's definitely catching up. So, but yeah, I appreciate your time today. It was a pleasure to talk to you. I hope we can do it again sometime, and I'm wishing you guys nothing but the best. I'm really interested in your project, and hoping good things happen to you guys.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having us today, and it was such a pleasure speaking and sharing more about Ocean.
Thanks again. Hang on one second. I'll say a proper goodbye.